I'm hearing concerns of Autumn Steele and what has been done to change so that doesn't happen again. To ask questions, what's the policy in that kind of situation? And what do we need to do to change that so this doesn't happen again to somebody else's family? I know it's hard and I understand it's hard on both families, but I don't feel enough has been done. I know they've started training with their online classes, the police department has, which is a great step forward. I don't know if we need to find money for our police department to have more training so they can be more, up to date or better training techniques. I mean, they're not the only people who run into these kind of scenarios, maybe the domestic part, but there's postmen, UPS men. There's all kinds of people who deal with stray dogs or vicious dogs, which this dog was not deemed vicious. And they don't resort to a firearm to take care of the problem. I don't know, like I say, what the standard operating procedure is for that, but there's got to be something wrong with using lethal form or a lethal way to handle the situation. I know our police officers in Burlington, they do a good job. This is just a bad accident, but both parties need to be held accountable. Miss Steele, she doesn't have a chance. She's dead. I think Officer Hill should be accountable for something. There's other laws that, I'm not a lawyer, other lawyers are fighting with the Des Moines County attorney about it. I'm just here to speak generally about what are we doing to change it so it doesn't happen again. And that's all I can ask of you guys and of Chief, is what can we do to make things different so this doesn't happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said, Kyle.
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you. Well said. Thank you.
Big, can I get you to come back? Can I get you to come back up, please, Chief? Or maybe you can kind of address with...
Yeah, I mean, we have started online training, but I don't want you to be confused by an encounter with a dog when somebody's dealing with a deadly situation at the same time. It's two completely different things. But do we need training? Absolutely. Does the state lack the training? Absolutely. And I've already started to address that with the Iowa Law Enforcement Academy. Should it be part of the curriculum at the academy? Absolutely, without a doubt. Can we work on getting that changed? Yeah, I can try. I don't have any control over the Academy Council, but I am a member of the Iowa Chiefs of Police Association, and maybe through the association we can get some movement. I don't know why there'd be resistance to it. So in the short term, what I try to do is something immediate and fast and affordable. And the Iowa Department of the Department of Justice at the federal level does offer online training with dangerous dogs encounters for police officers. It's like, I think there's 5 different videos. We made it mandatory training. I think the training's completed department-wide. We might have a couple guys yet, but I think everybody's had that. And to take it another step further, I've contacted an animal control expert that's actually here locally. I don't know if they would want me to mention their name, so for now I'm not going to mention their name, but they're an expert in animal behavior, is willing to bring animals in so officers can get first-hand training with animals and how to maybe interact with these animals, there's a whole body language thing with dogs and the ability to read that. So, I mean, as far as what are we doing, that's what we're doing. I mean, we obviously have taken this thing to heart. This is a horrible tragedy. I mean, it's just every day that we're trying to get through it and trying to improve the department with this type of training. But I'm going to leave it with this statement that Officer Hill's decision is a decision of reasonableness. And that's a standard that's used across...
Could you say that again? It was
reasonableness. And that's a standard that's used across the country at the county level, the state level, the federal level. And you can say, well, what's reasonable? Well, reasonable is that gray. So why do we have district court, the Court of Appeals, the Iowa State Court, and then you have the federal district court, the Court of Appeals, the federal Supreme Court? Well, that's why you have all those people and all those courts that are trying to decide all the time is what does a police officer do that's reasonable. It's not our job, it's not my job to make that split-second decision for them. What option do you use? We have all these options. But it is our job to look back and go, was that option reasonable? Was it reasonable? And that's where we're at. And the county attorney has decided that action was reasonable. Do they have the final say? No. I mean, that's why we have all these different systems and these different courts. And I would assume that down the road here that it's probably going to be in the court's hand at some time. But somebody's going to decide, was that action reasonable? And all we can do at the local level is take the facts and decide at the time, was it reasonable? And she has decided that that action was reasonable. So I just ask you to keep that in mind, that these are absolute split-second decisions. Split second. And was that decision reasonable?
You've had some training in the past too with dealing with canines. 2012, as mentioned to me, citywide, it wasn't just police department, citywide we had an employee training that was done for canines. So it's not like this is, we
Right.
haven't had any training in the past.
Right.
This just really kind of talks, as pointed out, as Doug looked at what he responses here to think about is the level of training that we've had enough? And from his viewpoint, he'd like to see additional training occur.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Can we improve? Of course we can improve. I mean, we're lifelong learners, and we'll always do that and always try to do that. So, I mean, that's where we're at. We've had some. We're going to have more.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the audience?